Good morning, class 12th. The chapter is financial management, and today we are coming to the last topic of the lesson, fixed and working capital. Fixed capital, the capital which is invested in the business in fixed assets, that is land, building, plant, machine, etc. This fixed capital decision is also known as investment decision or capital budgeting decision, and a huge amount is required for fixed capital requirement according to the size of the business and the nature of the business. What are the factors which helps in deciding the requirement of working capital? These are: number one, what the nature of business is. Are we dealing in manufacturing goods or are we dealing in trading goods? If our business is manufacturing business, then there will be more requirement of fixed capital to install new factory, new machines, etc. And if we are doing only trading business, the requirement of fixed capital will be less. Next, scale of operation. What does it mean? It means at what scale your business is. If your business is of large scale, your business is spreaded in more area, then the requirement of fixed capital will be more. And if you are dealing in your business in a particular state or city only, then the requirement of fixed capital will be less. Next, technique of production. Which technology are we using? As we know, there are two types of technology: capital intensive and labor intensive. If we are using capital intensive technology, the requirement of fixed capital will be more, and vice versa. Next is technology upgradation. We are working in an environment which keeps on changing, new technologies are coming. If our business is using such kind of technology where timely upgradation is required, so in that case requirement of fixed capital will be more, otherwise it will be less. Now, growth prospectus. What are the growth prospectus? It means what are your future planning, how, at what level you want to expand your business. If you have more growth planning of your business, if you feel that I want to take my business at such a large scale, then definitely the need of fixed capital will be more. That is, another point is diversification. Diversification means how many different kind of ranges or variety of goods we are producing in our existing business. If we are dealing in one or two product only without having any variety, then the requirement of fixed capital will be less. But if the range of products are more, then definitely the requirement of fixed capital will be more. Another important factor which we have to take into mind: availability of finance and lease financing. What does it mean? It means the fixed assets which is required in the business, they are to be purchased or they are available at lease in the market. अगर वो फिक्ड एसेट्स आसानी से मार्केट में किराए पे मिल जाती हैं, लीज पर मिल जाती हैं, तो इन दैट केस रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ फिक्स कैपिटल विल बी लेस. बट if fixed assets are not available at lease, then we have to purchase those fixed assets from the market. In that case, requirement of fixed capital will be more. Then level of collaboration or joint ventures. Are we doing a joint venture or doing our collaborate our business with any other company? If two or more company are joining together to do that business, then the requirement of fixed capital will be less, because all these companies are already having their fixed capital of fixed assets, and by using all those fixed assets together, they can run their business nicely. So this was the topic: what is the meaning of fixed capital and what factors are to be taken into consideration when we want to find out the requirement of fixed capital. Another important factor here or a topic here is working capital, that is known as short term investment decision. Fixed capital requirement is known as long term investment decision. Now, what is the meaning of working capital? Here working capital has defined in two ways: number one, gross working capital; number two, net working capital. What is the meaning of gross working capital? Gross working capital means the amount of current assets which are there in the business. Current assets, you know very well: debtors, BR, cash balance, bank balance, prepaid expenses, inventory, loose tools. These current assets get converted into cash within an accounting year. So the total amount of current assets are known as gross working capital. Then net working capital. Net working capital or working of capital, it means excess of current assets over current liability. That is, working capital is equal to current assets minus current liability. The difference of these two is known as working capital. A proper amount of working capital is required so that the company can maintain its liquidity easily. Net working capital can be negative also. When our current liability exceeds current investment, then it becomes negative working capital. The net working capital indicates the liquidity position of the company. The positive net working capital implies positive liquidity, whereas negative working capital means negative liquidity. It means we are unable to pay our regular expenses within time, which will spoil our image in the market. Now, what are the factors which are to be taken into consideration to decide the amount of working capital? First is nature of business. What kind of business are we dealing in? If we are dealing in retail shop business, working capital requirement will be less, because in retail business the operating cycle is small. What is the meaning of operating cycle? Operating cycle means purchasing the goods and sell the goods to the customer and get the cash from customer. That is operating cycle. So in retail business or small businesses, this operating cycle is small, that's why need of working capital will be less. In wholesale business, more amount of capital is required, more stock a businessman has to create. Normally goods might be sold on credit. In that case, the requirement of working capital in wholesale business will be more. When we talk about manufacturing company, the requirement of working capital very huge, because company has to maintain the stock of raw material. Company might have to sell goods on credit. So many workers are working in the organization. In short, we can say that for manufacturing companies or businesses, requirement of working capital is more. Next is scale of operation. At what scale of operation our business is working? Are we working at a large scale operation? Then requirement of working capital will be more. Or if our business scale is of small nature, then the requirement of working capital will be less. Next, business cycle fluctuation. What does it mean? Business cycle fluctuation means in which business cycle we are working. There is a boom period or recession. If period is boom, it means there is a inflation in the market, demand of goods service is more production is to be required, more stock is to be maintained, more debtors will be there. So the requirement of working capital in boom period will be more. But if there is a recession or depression period, then requirement of working capital will be less. Next is seasonal factor. Which kind of business are we doing? Is our goods is sellable throughout the year? Then the requirement of working capital will remain same. But if we are dealing in seasonal goods, then in case of seasonal goods, during that season we will be in need of more working capital. And when season is not there, the requirement of working capital will be less. Next is technology and production cycle. What is the meaning of technology? As we discussed earlier also, labor intensive technology or capital intensive technology. If we are using labor intensive technology, the requirement of working capital will be more, because we have to make regular payment to our workers. And if we are using capital intensive technology, then requirement of fixed capital will be more to purchase that technology, not the working capital. And another point here is production cycle. What is the meaning of production cycle? It means in how many days we convert our raw material into finished goods. कितने दिनों में हम अपने कच्चे माल को तैयार माल में कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं. If this production cycle is long, requirement of working capital will be long, and if this production cycle is small, then requirement of working capital will be less. Credit allowed. How are you selling your goods to the customer? Are you selling goods in cash or you are selling on credit? If you are selling on credit, for how many days you are giving to your customers? If you are selling entire goods in cash, then the requirement of working capital will be very less. More credit period if you are allowing, then requirement of working capital will be more. And if you are giving less credit period, then working capital will be less. Credit avail. What is the meaning of credit avail? Your creditors are selling goods to you on credit or in cash. if you are getting, if you can do your purchase on credit, and then how many days your creditors are giving to you, it helps in deciding the requirement of working capital. If your creditors are selling goods to you on credit, then requirement of working capital will be less, because after selling the goods and getting the cash, you can make payment to your creditors. Then operating efficiency. What is the meaning of operating efficiency? At what level we are able to utilize our resources. If our resources are utilized fully without any wastage, then requirement of working capital will be less. If we are unable to utilize our resources fully, then requirement of working capital will be more. Another important point is availability of raw material. The raw material which we are using in our company is available throughout the year, or is it available in few months throughout the year. If raw material is available throughout the year, then we don't have to make a stock of that raw material, we can purchase it anytime. In that case, requirement of working capital will be less. But if raw material is available in few months only, then you have to purchase raw material in bulk, you have to make a stock of that raw material. In that case, requirement of working capital will be more, because without maintaining stock, we cannot meet the demand in the market. Then level of competition. How much competition is there in the market? More the competition, more will be the requirement of working capital, because in order to face the competition, you have to maintain higher inventories, and higher inventory means more working capital. Inflation. If there is an increase in price in the market, if price of raw material etc. is increasing, labor price is increasing, so definitely there will be more need of working capital. And growth prospectus. What is your plan for future? Do you have plan to expand your business? If you have more growth prospectus, then need of working capital will be more, or otherwise it will be less. Now the difference between fixed capital and working capital you will do yourself. Thank you very much.